Welcome back. Now, let's continue the discussion now on the manifestos of the candidates. I'm being joined on the program right now by Adewale Ajadi, who is a political affairs analyst and also a legal expert. Mr. Ajadi, thank you very much for joining us on the program. It appears we are now, it's very clear that we're now moving to the business end now of the coming elections. We can see campaigns have actually begun. The candidates are crisscrossing the country, talking to the electorates now. And of course, their manifestos are out, for quite a number of them at least, some of the major candidates. Their manifestos are out and all of that. So give me your take on this whole idea about putting out manifestos and the contents and all of that. We saw the APC candidate put out an 80-page or so document now. We've seen that of Atiku before now. We're still waiting for that of Obi. And some other candidates, of course, have released theirs as well. So you look at all of these manifestos. What do you make of them?
It's always a pleasure to come onto your program. It's certainly a beauty contest. It's the kind of beauty contest that hopefully would grow more mature than it is at the moment. Because what you have is a laundry list of aspirations. It would appear, looking at some are more grounded in the realities of the day and the opportunities ahead, and some are just aspirational and unrealistic. You know, the challenge with manifestos, having been involved in one or two, is that you have a committee trying to come together to pull together something coherent. And what often happens is that oftentimes it's who shouts loudest gets the hearing, number one. Number two, the quality of the content suffers from everybody wanting to have an input. And so there's something about that process that needs to get better.
And how much of the content, because you talked about it and because you said you've been involved, how much of these contents we see in these manifestos, how much of them are the products of the candidates themselves?
Well, you know, the candidate, I mean, it's a very good exercise in the sense that the candidate, even when you become a president, if you are fortunate to be so, will not govern almost entirely by their own individual choices.
Absolutely.
They are going to pull together a team. So it's a test of the team. But, you know, oftentimes the candidate is far away from the process of manifesto. It's submitted to them. And in the context of reacting to many things, they've got to give this some credence. So the manifestos, even internationally, the manifestos are always some kind of a mixture of fiction and faction, or faction, if you want to call it anything. Aspirational, and people tend to believe the quote, you go for elections in prose and you govern in poetry or something to that effect. I think that's what they aspire to.
I can understand.
So when you go and look at it, but I always look for certain critical things. And the two that I've had some time to dip into, and I would say dip into because I really like to read these things. I'm a kind of policy wonk and put a red pen to them. And I've not yet been able to do that because I have other things in front of me. But I have an essence of some of them, as reported. The things are not as I would like them to be. I'm not as excited as I would want.
Fantastic. Now, I have actually seen some of these manifestos. I've actually read them. You know, the candidates themselves have actually spoken on some of the key items now in their manifestos. Let's talk about some of these key items now. On the issue of petrol subsidy, we've had almost all the candidates on, you know, especially the major candidates now. We now know their take on the issue of petrol subsidy, and all of them are in agreement that they are going to do away with subsidy. And then the reason I'm asking this question is, when I look at a manifesto, I'm looking at how that manifesto is radically different from what, say, for instance, the current government is pursuing. So the candidates are all saying they are going to remove petrol subsidy. That's exactly what the current government says it is going to do. As a matter of fact, it has begun the process. It says it's going to remove subsidy by the middle of next year. So how is that radically different from what the current government is doing?
I don't think it is. I think it's playing to the gallery. We want something for nothing. Think about it. For nearly 60, close to 2015 must be about 50-something years of Nigeria's existence. We had only 13 million taxpayers. 13 million in a country of over 200 million. We don't see ourselves being in a contract to build a better society. We see government as having the responsibility to build it and government giving us something. So everybody's playing to that gallery. They know that's what's going to play to the voters. I think that fundamentally when we say we are removing subsidy and focusing on subsidy, what is the point of focusing on subsidy if you are not looking at the kinds of things that makes us a more responsible society in terms of what we give? You can see all of them are trying to cut taxes in one way or the other. Nobody's admitting that we have to raise taxes. Am I making any sense to you?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
This is the kind of critical problems that they're not addressing and the kind of thing. So when they say we are removing subsidy, you are removing something that's going to be removed. There's something that everybody is saying that should be removed, and people are still pushing against it, but you're still talking about it. I don't think it's any significant.
Another thing I also want to ask you is there are various take on the issue of security. We've heard the candidate of the APC say, for instance, that he's going to increase the size of the Nigerian military, increase the size of our military, the police, and what have you. They're going to buy more equipment. They're going to modernize and all of that. And you look at what this government has done in the past, say, 5, 6, 7 years now. That's exactly what is done. As we speak today, the government has a policy that recruits, is it 10,000 policemen every year? That's the target. They've done it, I think, they've done it for this year. They did it, I think they did it last year. They're also recruiting more soldiers. They're buying more equipment and all of that. And then the question is, these candidates, I mean, we've heard from the candidate of the Labour Party, the candidate of APC, the candidate of the PDP as well. And then you ask yourself, what exactly is different that they're bringing to the table? Because they're saying exactly the same thing that the current government is doing.
Well, this is the problem. The truth about it is that security is a red herring. It is more about perception rather than reality. If you look at all the indicators, that you look at fatalities, you even look at issues of kidnapping, Nigeria is not getting worse. The government has made significant progress in curtailing what we are scared about. And so you're playing to the gallery again. The problem with this is that it doesn't address the real issue when we talk security. Human insecurity is a lot wider than military intervention. It is about food insecurity. It's about financial insecurities of different kinds, our economic insecurity if you want it. It's about insecurity about many other things, about developmental issues. But reducing it to military and calling it insecurity is what has been said with respect. I don't mean this in an antagonistic manner, by the media, who have thrown this issue of insecurity up in the air and influenced the elite, and the elite are pushing it down the throat of everybody, and everybody is reacting. Yes, there are challenges. There are challenges to do with maintaining the integrity against armed interventions. We have never known privatized war in the manner we've done in the past 25 or so years. And that is being done. And for the first time, the Nigerian military is really credible rather than based on the energies of justice men. It's really got credible equipment, and it's got beyond any time it's ever had in its history. So trying to make out that you are starting from nothing to create something capable is to discredit what has been done, and it's not great to hear.
You listen to some of the candidates who have been very critical of the current government and who are seeking to replace it. You listen to their take on security. it's essentially not different from what the current government is doing. So the question you ask is, what difference are they bringing to the voter?
Well, I'm sorry to repeat a little bit, but they are playing a game. The game that is constantly played is that the Nigerian mentality for zero defect. We want zero defect in everything, want perfection. We don't appreciate incremental progress. Means that there's always a gap, and that gap is exploited by politicians in saying, I can do better. But isn't really much you can do better in the evolution of a country to a nation. You're going to have the kinds of conflicts we're having. You're going to have different, diverse people with a different agenda. And it's going to take time for you to create the kind of community of purpose and common destination, especially because we have over 300 ethnic groups that can be easily exploited. We have different religions that can be easily exploited. So this whole issue we call insecurity is actually the challenge of we have towards nationhood.
And to be candid, even when you look at some of the candidates now, you look at what they are offering in terms of the economy, in terms of what they say they're going to do, for instance, to address the exchange rate problem we're having and all of that. Again, nothing significantly different from what is being done at the moment.
I think it goes to the point that I think we are both making in a slightly different way, that the fundamentals of Nigeria, systems that have been addressed by this government. They are building the foundation of a system to go forward. What I would do if I was a politician, and I don't plan to be one, I'm not interested in it, is to say, actually, this is how I'm going to build on what I see on the ground. And this is how long it's going to take me to move it forward. Not try and act as if there's nothing existing and I'm just creating something new. It's a sleight of hand. You know, in my language, they say you're using bread to steal the soup. You know, you're using the bread to sweep up all the soup. You know, you just place it next to the soup and it soaks it up. This is what's being done. We need people who can actually inspire our people, their better angels and their aspirations to do better. Not people that are going to play to their hopelessness, that the trumpet and their sense of inertia that they pretend that this country is all about.
Finally, what difference do you think Nigerians are going to vote on the basis of these manifestos? What impact do you think these manifestos will have on the outcome of the election?
It has an impact on me, let me be honest. And that is that I am looking for someone who recognizes that we need to ensure that women in this country, who are nearly 50% of our population, reach their potential or are moving to their potential as well as the men. If you don't do that, even if you get 100% of the men effectively making progress, you have created a society that's not going to function effectively. Whether it's because we're not going to be developed. So if you want Nigeria to develop, you should recognize that this is a fundamental issue that ought to be addressed. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, and if you don't put that upfront in your manifesto, then you're not taking seriously the agenda of making Nigeria better. That's ab initio. The second thing is, when you're talking about the economy, you cannot treat Nigerian economy or even the global economy like it's just manufacturing and agriculture alone. Even if you're talking about digital economy, you have to recognize that we're in a gig culture, and we have to make sure that the people you are training are not just being put through university systems. They have the vocational capacity to excel whichever direction they go, that they have great skills acquisition, that is not just book learning, that they're able to develop digital understanding across all of these things that can develop them. If you're not doing that, then you are not creating a manifesto that makes any sense for the present or the future of the country. So I can't even consider you as an option. And I'm looking at all the manifestos. There's nothing that excites me.
Well, I think we just have to leave it there. Adewale Ajadi, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be discussing aviation matters. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
how, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.